and he rode thereon, and went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, Art thou the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with thee in this place. For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, that thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that thou camest. He said unto him, I am a prophet also, as thou art. This is the false prophet, brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Amen.
And an angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house. This is the house of...
Repute.
Well, this prophet lived in Bethel, where they had the idolatry.
Right.
That he may eat bread and drink water, but he lied unto him. Is there a lying spirit in this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Who would that lying spirit be?
See?
Satan, the papacy.
Mm-hmm.
There's one entity in this history called the false prophet. The word false and liar are similar in their definitions. So he went back with him and did eat in the house and drink water. The Israelites, the Millerites did that right here. They went back into this house and they drank water and ate bread with the false prophet from Bethel. And the reason Jesus is described as the lion that roareth is because they have to meet Jesus on that path. Now notice what takes place.
So anyway.
21, thank you. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord, For as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandment which the Lord thy God commanded thee, but camest back, and hast eaten bread and drunk water in this place, of the which the Lord did say unto thee, Eat no bread and drink no water, thy carcass shall not come unto the sepulchre of thy fathers. And it came to pass, after that he had eaten bread, and after that he had drunk, that he had saddled for him the ass, to wit, for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way, and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. And we should understand that this is Adventist history.
Yep.
Now that history that took place here is going to take place right here at the Sunday line.
Yep.
This is the experience of those who will not be among the 144,000. They will have gone back and eaten in a place that they shouldn't go, because God had told them don't do it. Now this is serious business,
Yes, it
because
is.
the lion that meets them on the way is the Lord. He's the one. May I use your book again? Do you follow me?
It's clear.
Notice again what she says about the lion that roars. The mighty angel who instructed John was no less a personage than Jesus Christ. This is the one who instructed the prophet at Bethel. Setting his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the dry land shows the part which he is acting in the closing scenes of the great controversy with Satan. The lying spirit that was in that old prophet at Bethel is the voice of Satan. And he declares, he told that other man, he says, I too am a prophet of God. This is serious
But
business.
what God?
But it wasn't the voice of God.
No, I'm talking about what God?
Yeah, that's right. Satan. This position denotes Christ's supreme power and authority over the whole earth. The story of this man who should have obeyed God is representing that same power and authority that God has. And we are not to disobey it.
No.
Now notice this. The controversy had waxed stronger and more decided from age to age. We read that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
At the time this takes place in Bethel, we can recognize that Amos had predicted it. In the days of Amos, the controversy raged more and more. She says, the controversy waxed stronger and more determined. In the days of Amos, it was pretty determined. But the time we get down to the time of Jeroboam, this thing was determined. The enemy was the one responsible for erecting those altars at Bethel.
Yes.
Mark it. Jeroboam didn't do this on his own. Ephesians says that we battle not against flesh and blood,
You're right.
but against principalities and powers in high places. But when those who are commissioned by God with a message to go and to say that these altars will not stand, they must not go back if the Lord has told them not to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And when this man did, he represents those Millerites and those Seventh-day Adventists at the end of the world. Because Adventists since 1957 have been wanting to be like the evangelicals.
Oh, yes.
And we've not been called to be evangelicals. We've been called to be Seventh-day Adventists. We've been called to give the third angel's message with power and glory.
Right.
And it means we can't go back, because if we do, we're going to meet Jesus on in the wrong path.
Right.
Because it says the lion devoured that man. And there's something that needs to be understood in this, and I think, check this out, what she says. The controversy had waxed stronger and more determined from age to age, and will continue to do so to the concluding scenes when the masterly working powers of darkness shall reach their height. So what you see in the story of this prophet and the other prophet in Bethel, we're looking into a glimpse of the masterful working powers of Satan, and we're also looking at the movements of God in a reform movement, all in the same picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, what the prophet announced at Bethel, that these altars shall not stand, was a reform movement. Notice what she says. Satan united with evil men. Verse 11 of 13 of Kings. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done. And then it says in verse 9 that, but he lied unto him. Satan, united with evil men, will deceive the whole world, and the churches who receive not the love of the truth. But the mighty angel demands attention. You think the prophet, you think God got his attention on the path when the lion ate him?
Amen. Oh, yeah.
I think he might have got his attention. He cries with a loud voice. He is to show the power and authority of his voice to those who have united with Satan to oppose the truth. What this is telling us is that when that prophet went to Bethel and did the work of the Lord, and it said, this altar shall not stand, he was united in the proclamation of the third angel's message. But when he disobeyed the Lord, he was uniting himself with the enemy of all truth.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens here is that it says that he is Christ to show the power and authority of his voice to those who have united with Satan to oppose the truth.
Mm.
Just because you were once God's people or his prophet, you have no privileges to disobey God.
No, you don't.
Because his voice is announcing to you that he is the only and one authority. Now, most human beings don't like that, because we think we're the authority.
No.
But God is sure, his word is sure. It says, now right here in this history, she says, after these seven thunders uttered their voices, the injunction comes to John as to Daniel in regard to the little book. Seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered. These relate to future events which will be disclosed in their order. Daniel shall stand in his lot at the end of the days. John sees the little book unsealed. Then Daniel's prophecies have their proper place in the first, second, and third angels' messages to be given to the world. The unsealing of the little book was the message in relation to time. Now, one of the things that about the message related to times is we will pick up from, I just wanted you to see that the story in 13 reflects on the story in Amos. It reflects on the idea that there's always the same dealings with God, with men from age to age in every reformatory movement, and in so doing, that small brief history in the book of 1 Kings chapter 13 can be overlaid the history of the Millerites and the Sabbatarian Adventists, and it's pointing to something very important and very crucial about the history of the 144,000, and that is this, that God has led us in a way at Bethel. It's the irony here is so ironic. It was at Bethel where Jacob had the dream of the connecting ladder that connects earth with heaven.
Right, right.
This story is about that ladder that connects earth with heaven.
Mm.
That's why that idolatry was done at Bethel the way it does under Jeroboam. And that's why the prophet went under the prophecy of Amos and declared that these altars will not stand, is because that God is the one who connects earth with heaven, not man.
Amen.
The God of heaven alone. And we really have to understand that one of the things in this history that puts this together for the Millerites, and especially for the 144,000, is the history of the trumpets. Now, one of the things that the trumpets allows us to see in this history, and in the sermon we heard this morning at Advent Hope, there was a truthful statement made in regards to Rome. And that statement that was made in regards to Rome was that the papacy was the fourth kingdom of Bible prophecy. And in it, there was a corrupting influence that would finally lead to the rise of the papacy. And that would take place. This wasn't, what I'm saying now wasn't all explained in the sermon this morning, but I'm going to go a little further than he did. And we're going to show something in connection with the trumpets that is a waymark in this history that was a turning point. We studied earlier today that this is when the lion roars. This is when the second woe closes on August 11th, 1840. And then at the ending of the sounding of the sixth trumpet, when the seventh trumpet begins to sound, there are those who are studying these things in this history, under the 144,000, the history of the 144,000, which is the current history in which we're living. They understood something that the Millerites didn't see, and that is this. But the Millerites thought that the sixth trumpet closed on August 11, 1840. But we now understand, because we're here, and we can look back on this history, and we can see more than they were able to see, is the fact that the second woe did close on August 11, 1840, but the sixth trumpet would continue until it reaches the sounding of the seventh trumpet. And the sixth trumpet closes right where the seventh trumpet begins to sound. Okay? And what that allows us to see is that what this woe is in place for, as it's closing, when it restrains Islam at the end of the 391 years and 15 days, it marks the time when the test really begins. Okay? It's a testing, it's a mark. I have something here, just let me get it. Let me find this real quick. Did I bring it? I didn't bring it. Shame on me. Well, anyway. Well, maybe I did. No, I didn't bring it. Anyway, I'll explain it without it. One of the things that they did here was that they